Hey everyone, so on this video what we'll take a look at is some of the must-have validation rule every Salesforce admin should be aware of, as well as every org should have, in my opinion. Now there are obviously a lot of validations that you can create. They will differ from org to org, company to company, based on different processes and different requirements. These are the ones I've seen a lot in my consulting years. I think all of them will be created on the opportunity object. However, I'll talk through them. They can be leveraged in other objects as well. One of the most requested one I see is tracking the reason for closed won, for tracking the reason for closed lost on opportunities. So what that means is when a user marks an opportunity as closed lost, we want to track the reason as to why it was closed lost. Out of box, the opportunity object doesn't have a reason field. So I went ahead and created a reason field called closed lost reason. Making it a picklist field is definitely the best scenario here. And the reason for that is, so if you look at some of my values, I have price too high, right? So somebody can, if it was a text field, somebody can put in price too high. Somebody else can put is price is a problem. They can put in different values so it doesn't become reportable. So we want to keep it as a picklist field so that we're limiting the users to what values they can choose. So what we want to do is we want to make this field required when an opportunity is closed lost. So we'll go ahead, click on validation rule and click on new. Now, I don't think you can see it on this video, but I do have multiple tabs open. So if you see the screen change, it just means I'm clicking a different tab, and I'll explain that. I'll call it out so it's a bit more obvious. That being said, I'll go ahead and do my first one. So we're going to call it close lost is required. Oh, sorry, close lost reason required at lost. Now, for this specific validation rule, I'll do a description. I probably won't be doing it for all of them, but again, best practice is always using the description field so that when you pass this org to somebody else, they know what's going on. And of course, if you're starting in the company as a Salesforce admin or somebody that's going to be managing Salesforce, you'll understand the value of having these type of information documented. So it can be very simple, very basic. So I'm just going to put in closed lost reason must be populated when an opportunity is marked as closed lost. Perfect. So let's go ahead and do this. So we're going to be doing an AND function here. Just to call out, a lot of your functions are here, so you can always leverage them. I'll be using the isPickVal function here, and so let's go ahead and take a look at that quickly because I know that stage is a picklist field. So you'll see here some of the functions, and the one we'll be using on this one often is isPickVal because we're saying, and I'll kind of explain as I'm writing it out. So we're going to be doing an AND function, and what that means is all the criteria that I'm going to put in these brackets must be met, all of them, not one or the other, but all of them must be met in order for this validation rule to fire. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and say isPickVal, and I know the API for stage is stage name, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now, if you weren't sure, you can always click on insert field, look for the field, and if you click on insert, it'll put that in there. So as you can see here, it is stage name. And I know the value for closed lost is closed lost. Again, if you're not sure, you can always check within your field relationship. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the different tab, click into fields and relationship, go to closed lost reason. I'm going to go to stage. I'm just going to look at closed lost, like is, populated. So again, some orgs might have it lost or something else, so you just want to make sure you have the right verbiage. So closed lost, put a comma, and the next one is isPickVal. Now, if let's say that the reason was a text field for whatever reason, then you will use isBlank. However, in this case, because it is a picklist field, so I'm going to again go ahead and use isPickVal. So this one, I don't remember the API. So I'm going to go ahead and select close loss reason, insert, pops it here. And I'm going to do open quotation, close quotation. What that means is there's no value selected. Do I do that? Check my syntax. So as you can see, I did make an error. So when I click on check syntax, it'll tell me what the error is. I am missing an open bracket. Sorry, a closed bracket, right? That's because right here, I have an open bracket, but I don't have a closed bracket. So let's go ahead and fix that. And bam, there we go. So now let's go ahead and put an error message here. Close lost reason must be populated at close lost stage. Again, you can determine how it's worded, as long as it makes sense. So I'll go ahead and click on where we want to display this, and I want to display this on close loss reason. So let's go ahead and save. Let's take a look at this validation rule, shall we? Let's go ahead and so now that the validation rule is saved, let's go take a look at this in action. So I'll come to opportunity. So I have this opportunity. It's already marked as closed won. Let's go ahead and try to mark it as closed lost. But what you'll notice here is my closed loss reason is a dependent pick list, meaning what that means is right now I can't select a reason because it's marked as closed won. However, if I choose closed lost, it becomes open. Now let's say to test our validation rule, I'm going to keep it blank, try to save it. I get this error that pops up, meaning I need to populate that value. So let's go ahead and respect that validation rule, give it a reason, and there we go. Our stage is saved. All right, the next validation rule is preventing user from selecting a specific value. Now, what use case that I get for this is I worked with organizations, especially sales organization, where we might not want the sales rep to fully close won an opportunity, meaning they take it to a stage, let's call it closed won pending, and either contract operations or sales operations might check that opportunity, do some, make sure all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed kind of process, and then mark it as closed won. Now you can leverage your approval process for that, but I've seen orgs where it's more of a prevention of choosing a specific value. So let's go ahead and take a look at that validation rule. One thing I will call out here is I am going to be using the profile. As you're already aware, Salesforce is trying to move away from profile and forcing permission sets a lot more. So this won't apply if you're watching this when your org has already done the migration. There'll be another video around permission sets. What this video is going to focus on is profiles, because I know there's a lot of organizations that still use profiles. So we're going to focus on profiles for this one. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll click on new, and we'll just say sales cannot close won up. All right. So let's go ahead and do, again, it's an AND condition. Let's do is pick val. Stage name. That you can also do is close won like this. I'll show you guys. Is one, I believe. Again, if you're not sure, just look here. So is one. And you just mark it as true. So what that means is all the opportunities, whenever they're marked as closed won, this is one field is actually it's true. It's never exposed, but it can be queried. So this is always true when an opportunity is marked as closed won, or any stage that is a closed won stage. So let's go ahead and put the stage name here. Oh, let's not forget our comma, and we'll say, let's select the profile. So for the profile, we're going to go profile name. Now, of course, you don't need to know all this. You can click on insert field. You can look at user, put in profile, or is it? You can do profile ID, something along those lines, or you can use a profile name, right, which is right here. Just go profile name, right? So again, I just know what the API is, so I'm doing it, but you can use this insert field function to figure out some of these APIs. And let's just say for the profile name, we just want it to be the sales rep, which again, this is a developer org. It doesn't have a profile called sales rep, and your org might not either. So you might have to find what the right profile is. So I'm going to go to profiles. Let's just use the standard one right here. And oh, let me just put this back so it looks nice and neat. Want to have it look good, and make sure that this is in the open and close quotations. Let's go ahead and close our brackets. I think we're good. So we can simply say you cannot mark an opportunity as closed won. Please reach out to sales operations. Again, it depends what your process is. And keep in mind, like this validation rule, I'm showing it on opportunity, but it can be the same thing for a case as well, where you cannot mark a case as closed, cannot mark an order as activated. So there's a lot of different scenarios where we can prevent users from doing certain actions. You can obviously, depending on the action, some of it can be done on the profile level, some of it needs to be done on a validation rule level. So this is the next use case that we have. So there we go. We saved it and we're done. Now, the next validation we'll look at is prevention of an opportunity being updated. So let's say we don't want the amount to be updated after an opportunity is closed won. That's the validation we'll create. Again, the way that this can be done is once an order is activated, there are certain fields you cannot update. When a case is closed, you cannot activate. So there are, again, different use cases you can leverage. Again, I'm staying on the opportunity. So let's call this amount cannot change after. I'm going to put CW, which is closed won. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to say and. Again, you can use a stage name. You can use closed one is one. You can use closed, depending again what the process is. So I'm going to stick with pickval, stage name, closed one. I'm going to say is changed. What that means is we're looking for this, whatever field we're going to put in this bracket is being changed. In our case is amount. And we're going to close bracket. Yeah, so that's, again, we're using and condition for all of these. There's of course or conditions. There's a lot of different, you can have and or conditions together. So there are different ways we can write this. These are, again, very simple basic validation rules. So we can say amount cannot be updated after closed won. Again, you can say reach out to your sales operations, system admin, whatever the scenario is. So there we go. So let's go back and take a look at this in action again. So we're going to say closed won, right? And then we have the amount here. So let me go ahead and try to change this to say, let's say 10,000. Yeah. And then, so we're going to get this validation rule. So that's another one. All right. So next one is we want to make sure, again, this is for data validity. We want to make sure start dates come before end date. Again, this is to reduce error. This can typically be on the contract object. What I've done for the purpose of this scenario, I've actually created custom fields on the opportunity. So you'll see that I have a start date field and an end date field, right? So let's go ahead and create that validation rule. So we're going to go ahead, new validation rule. So we have, let's say, start date must be before end date. All right, let's go ahead and write that out. So I'm going to do an extra check here. So I'm going to make sure that these date fields are not blank. So I'm going to say not is blank. And again, because I don't remember the API, I'm going to go ahead and just use my insert function here. And it's a double close bracket because we got an open bracket here and here, comma, not is blank again. Because again, we don't want the end date to be blank. Another double. And then we just got to say now I can just copy it from here if I wanted to. We're just going to say the contract start date has to be greater than the end date, which is right here. And then we can go ahead and close this, check the syntax. Looks great. So let's go ahead and say start date must be before end date. Boom, save. Let's go back to our opportunity and let's test this out. So we got our contracts update here. So let's say we say this is, August 1st is the start date, but for whatever reason, we accidentally click July 25th as the end date. So if I try to save that, you're going to get this error. Now the user knows to correct that. So that's another validation rule that you can also implement to keep, ensuring the data is correct. Hopefully you liked the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments what other features or tips you want to see in our upcoming videos.